welcome to the interview. Can you start by briefly introducing yourself?
Hi, my name is Lucas. I am going to third year in bioengineering at McGill. I'm in stream 2 of bioengineering, and I am from the US, from Hood River, Oregon.
Can you talk a little bit about your high school background?
Yeah, so I went to a really small town high school in Hood River. My town is about 12,000 people. Fortunately, my high school is about 1,300 people, so basically most of us. I took a bunch of AP classes because that was our system in the US, and I was always really interested in biology. So I took AP Bio and a couple of classes around that, and that was my big background for going into bioengineering.
Can you briefly describe how your program is built?
Bioengineering is built weird as a program. We have 3 major streams. The first stream in bioengineering is kind of biomedical engineering, medical devices, EEGs, this sort of thing. Stream 2 is my stream. It's the best stream. It's tissue engineering, working with cell culture, working with all these sorts of things. And then finally, stream 3 is like biocomputational engineering. So a little bit more computer science, a little bit more like high throughput genomics, that kind of thing. Basically, you choose your stream after, for stage of entrance, it's like after your first year. For everyone else, it's after your second year. And once you choose your program, you're doing mainly classes in those streams, and then there's a little bit of overlap between all the streams.
Can you name briefly like the main topics you explore in your stream?
Yeah, so in my stream, which is like tissue engineering and culture engineering in general, the main things that we are touching on is like biomolecular level stuff. So working on the molecular level, it's a little bit more chemistry based. The topics might include like synthetic biology is pretty big in my stream. I'm a big fan of synthetic biology, but anything from like a genetic medicine that involves operation within human cells, this sort of thing, to editing and actually working with cells would fall under tissue engineering.
In terms of homework, what do you usually have?
Bioengineering is very, very project-based as a major. So rather than having a lot of finals, your classes are going to be more like 1 to 2 finals a semester and then 4 to 5 final projects. Homework throughout the semester is more like 2-week projects, pretty consistently throughout the whole semester. A lot of your classes will have between 2 to 6 of these projects a semester, depending on how intense that class is. And these can be anything from like a report or write-up on cell structures and cell mechanics to like a particularly enjoyable one that I had in Bio 310, which is an introductory class for biomolecular engineering, was like taking a protein structure and replacing from 20 amino acids down to 4 while trying to keep like the structure and functionality of the protein.
One thing you like and one thing you dislike about your major?
Bioengineering, I think my biggest like caveat for the program is I think it'd be a really, really good program in like 10 years. The problem is the program itself is only about 4 or 5 years old, maybe 7, something like that. And because it's young, a lot of the classes and the overall structure are still going through a lot of organizational changes every year, which consistent changes kind of make it hard to adapt and stick with the structure. But more than that, individual classes are having a little bit of organization struggles. So prepare to be very flexible and accommodating. On the other side, I think bioengineering is an incredibly cool program that really lets you explore probably everything in bioengineering. Like compared to a lot of other bioengineering related programs at different schools, most schools will have biomedical engineering as their major. And biomedical engineering is mostly focused on medical devices, what you can do with like an EEG machine, a cardiac machine, something like that. Whereas bioengineering really touches into all different fields. And I've liked, honestly, as someone who was really interested in tissue engineering from the beginning, I've liked getting to learn about the medical devices side and about the computational side. I think it really supports a cohesive understanding.
Can you give a piece of advice to a prospective student in your major?
My piece of advice for a prospective student in a bioengineering major is figure out what you're passionate about early on. This is not necessarily like a piece of advice having to do with like choosing your stream. It's more like because bioengineering is a new curriculum and a lot of things bounce around, it helps to get involved in extracurriculars that kind of give you a centerpiece around what you're passionate about. So talk to design teams, biodesign, iGEM, talk to clubs around the university to really get some time out of school to develop your passion in like the specific area of bioengineering that you like. And then the classes feel a lot more cohesive around that.
Do you find it hard to balance school and your social life?
Hard, yeah. So Balancing school and social life in bioengineering is a struggle sometimes. I would find it to be like hard, but not the hardest in the world. I think one of the unique, cool parts about bioengineering is that we're a cohort of about 80 students a year. And being that small of a cohort, everyone knows everybody to some extent. Our events for bioengineering are well attended by like at least half the people most of the time. You get to know the same people, and so while it can be a lot academically, you kind of struggle with the same people and you get a little bit of nice social bonding with them.
Do you have any regrets in your choice of major?
If I had one regret in my choice of major, I think it would be potentially not trying out like more science classes and in majors like neuroscience and biochemistry, because I think those are really supporting and valuable classes to tissue engineering. And if I maybe potentially, I don't know even how that would work, if I had transferred into bioeng second year and done a little bit more of that like basic level of bioc and neuro, I think that would have been quite cool, but I don't think I have any major regrets besides that.
Why did you choose McGill and why did you choose this program?
As to why I chose McGill, as a student coming from the US, college is a little bit different in the US as compared to Canada, and I liked the fact that Canada treats you like an adult right out of the gate. Like a lot of the places that I could have gone in my home state of Oregon would have been like 4 years in dorms and residence, and I like the fact that you can get out of residence in 1 year and start cooking for yourself, start living for yourself. But from like a school perspective, I think McGill is really cool because it has like a name and a lot of support systems behind it for things outside of school. Like being able to go here and spend half of my time not in classes but still doing cool things that relate to what I'm interested in is a special thing that I don't get in a lot of other universities around anywhere. As to why I chose the program for bioengineering, I was able to visit here and talk to some of the advisors, and after learning about it for a while, I realized that it was still a new program, but it was something that I wanted to take a chance in. There's not a lot of other majors and places in the US that have a focus like tissue engineering, and with that plus the name and the resources around McGill, I thought about it and I realized it was one of my best chances to kind of develop that passion early on, hopefully in my degree.
Do you plan on doing something after this degree, maybe continuing a master's or something else?
My original plan after getting this degree was hopefully to go work in biotech in the US somewhere. We'll see how that turns out. Our biotech funding in the US has gone a little bit down recently. A nice alternative plan that I have in higher education is there's a really, really cool program that McGill does with the University of Kyoto in Japan, where you can get a master's and a PhD in genomics and genetic engineering, all in 4 years. And you spend 2 years in McGill, in Montreal at McGill, and 2 years in Kyoto. So it would give me a chance to kind of explore a little bit more of Canada, and I've never been to really any Eastern Asian countries, as well as develop 2 different degrees in different places.
If you can describe it, how is the overall vibe in your classes?
The overall vibe in bioengineering classes is very, very collaborative. Because we're a major of like 80 people a year, especially for the first and second years, you're going to be in classes with almost all of the same 80 people. And because of that, we do a lot of collaboration surrounding like, oh, what did you think about for this assignment? How are you going about solving this question or this problem? Because a lot of the assignments and tests and these sort of things have difficult questions that it can be hard to tell what they're looking for to some extent. And bouncing ideas off of other people is really nice. So you kind of create these collaborative groups within classes. Everyone starts to know each other pretty quickly and it gets very friendly and collaborative.
It's only 80 spots every year for bioeng?
It's about 80 spots. It fluctuates between I think there have been some smaller cohorts in the past, and I don't know if we've gone over 100 spots, but I should mention the U0 people that get promoted from U0 add to those 80 spots every year. Okay. So I think my class is something like 105 or something like that.
And for comparison, do you know how many spots there are for the other eng?
Yeah. So bioeng is not necessarily the smallest engineering, it's one of the smaller ones. Mechanical gets to the point of 400, 500, 600 students a year. Similarly with ECSE-based majors, so electrical, software, and computer engineering all have bigger class sizes, although the individual majors within those degrees might have smaller or similar to bioeng sizes. The smallest one is by far mining engineering. There's about 10 to 15 students a year in that. But I think the only ones that would be smaller than bioeng would be materials as well.
Well, that's it for the interview. Thank you so much, Lucas.
Happy to be here.